welcome. Thank you for joining us tonight or whenever you watch this. We are on YouTube, so you might be watching it over breakfast, whatever, but we are Wednesday night sessions. I'm your host, Mitch Nobis. For any new viewers, audience members we have out there, we are a semi-regular, irregular online reading series coming out of Farmington, Michigan. We are sponsored by KickstART Farmington, our local arts organization. So shout out to them for letting me talk to cool writers that I like. Joining us today is Matt Crane, novelist, and we pre-record these as we're recording it. The book is forthcoming. By the time you're watching this, their latest book is probably out. So let me just head straight to the bio so you can get the titles. Matt Crane is the author of I Keep My Exoskeletons to Myself, a New York Times Editor's Choice, Indie Next Pick, and winner of a LAMBDA Literary Award. Their second novel, A Sharp Endless Need, is, as I mentioned, forthcoming in May 2025 from Dial Press, but might be out by the time you're watching this, so go get it. They have received fellowships from the Sewanee Writers Conference, American Short Fiction, and Vermont Studio Center, and their short work has appeared in Literary Hub, The Sun, TriQuarterly, Prairie Schooner, Joyland, and elsewhere. Originally from Allentown, Pennsylvania, they currently live in San Diego with their family. And at this point, Mac, I'll throw it over to you for a reading, and then I'll bounce back in with some questions when you're done.
All right. I'm sorry, we're already going to need to edit this out because I didn't have it pulled up. Okay. I'm going to read from the prologue of my book, which people always hate on prologues and epilogues, and I have a prologue and an epilogue in my novel. And I love them and love being a little annoying about it. All right. We wanted legacy. Liv and I, we wanted our names in bright lights, our names in everyone's mouths, names people would remember. No, just on the tip of their tongues. No, let me get back to yous. None of that shit. We wanted fans so loud, everything went quiet inside our heads. For a while, we might have had them. We made canvases of our bodies. We sweat and we cried, rivulets flowing down face and chest and limb. We boasted bruises from hard-earned buckets, birthmarks we gave ourselves. We moved with animal instinct, smooth like panthers going in for the kill. We won loose balls, and if we didn't win them, we caused tie-up after tie-up, wet bodies coalescing on the wood floor. Rip, rip, roar. When the game was on the line, and when it wasn't on the line, we sacrificed our bodies. Not because we were told to, but because there was no higher honor. We sacrificed our bodies for something not quite holy, not quite mortal. Where does the body end and immortality begin? We wanted to find out. On offense, our passes were so sharp they could cut through butter. Handles so smooth, we lulled our defenders to sleep with the rocking. On defense, we had magic hands, fly quick hands, hands tugging jerseys and pestering shorts, hands that swatted, hands no one could swat. Hips pressed against glutes, bodies that wouldn't budge an inch. We wanted to live forever. Who could blame us? We wanted to live ball in hand, ball against backboard, ball licking the bottom of the net. We wanted to be in history books. For what? We didn't know. We certainly weren't the first to do anything, not to ball, not to win, not to lose, not to suffer, but that didn't matter. To us, basketball was a historical record of all the ways a body can move with and for another. What could be better than the strange and perverse pleasure of being known? If we couldn't live forever, we at least wanted pleasure in big, dripping buckets. More so, we wanted the knowledge that we were still capable of enjoying our pleasure. The pleasure itself hadn't become yet another goal to work toward. Dizzy with fervor, we knew nothing of moderation, of balance. We wanted excess, more trash talking, more chest thumping, more bumping and grinding. We drove hard, we drew fouls, we stomped our feet and raised our fists in celebration. We wanted to make sure our opponents could feel us coming. We wanted their student sections to heckle us, tell us we were pieces of shit with no outside game, no heart, no skill. We liked the taunting. It gave us all the more reason to pin our hands behind our backs and raise our middle fingers when the refs weren't looking. We wanted speed, reckless speed, the white-hot heat of a fast break pecking at our heels, the court opening up before us like a parted sea. On the court, we were married. The referee whistles like wedding bells ringing inside our chests. Only we didn't call it a marriage. We called it shared language, tongue-heavy language, locked and loaded language, the most reliable form of communication. One bound not by syntax, but by rhythm, by the beat, beat, beat of human music, but the simultaneous seeing and knowing of another. The game bonded us in a way words could only dream of. And if we had an animal instinct, a panther prowl on the court, then basketball had a hound dog nose. It could sniff out and track our desires before those desires had even arisen in us. That's what we needed, what we counted on. Some people said basketball was like dancing. You needed rhythm. You needed to feel the ball's desire, like you needed your heart to beat right. But we knew in the deeps of our hips, the basketball is even more erotic than dancing. It was a collaboration, a mutual creation, a way of fucking without touching. But when we stepped off the court and headed to the locker room, when we ripped off our sticky with sweat jerseys, when we untied our laces, when we could no longer hear the bellows of the crowd, when already the game time focus had become a thing of the past, when already we forgot the heated glory of all eyes on us, the stomp of the fan feet, the clap of the fan hands, the echoing beat of the ball, and a last play quiet. When we did all that, we stripped down to our raw pink skin and wet the game away, our eyes pinched shut under the rushing stream. We showered next to each other, alone together in our ritual, acutely aware of how space worked differently without the layers of jersey and shorts and crowd and competition between us. In the shower, we were exposed. In those moments, we greeted each other as if meeting for the first time. Hey, we said. What's up? We said. We risked glances at each other, then we shied away. But we always looked back. When we stepped off the court and took off those jerseys with names and numbers and histories, we wanted anonymity. We wanted a temporary refuge where we could be unknown, anonymous to everyone but each other. The end.
Mac, I mean, I'm already really looking forward to getting my hands on this book. But that now I can't wait. I was already looking forward to it. But like, oh my lord, that is so much glorious description of basketball. Um, I end up talking basketball, I think, a lot on this show because I'm a hoops head, but like I love having folks like you on because like I know you love talking ball too. And we've talked back when Twitter was good. I think we talked on Twitter about how you're one of the people, really, I should say, that I've talked about how we need more basketball lit in the
Yeah.
world. I'm tempted to say in our country but that's just parochial. Like in the world, we need more basketball lit in the world. It's a global sport, more basketball literature. And America has like this long history with baseball literature, which is great. Like there's some great baseball novels. I love The Natural. I love the Chad Harbach book. Name it, The Art of Fielding. But we don't have hardly any basketball novels. And I've gotten in like literary verbal bar fights before over John Updike. Like Rabbit Run is not a basketball book. That's a book about an abuser, and it's no fun. Like there's
Yeah.
3 pages of good basketball description and like 300 pages of like a guy being an abusive ass. Like
Yeah.
that doesn't count. Like no.
No.
So writers like you, like Hanif Abdurraqib, like I love when folks actually write about basketball. So I'm gonna kind of cheat and like all your questions are gonna be about basketball in some way. That's okay.
Yeah.
So I guess the first question on the show is usually more writing oriented though. So you did play college ball. How did that? I'll rephrase this as a general question. You can take or leave the basketball if you want. How does your own personal lived experience enter into your writing fiction?
Yeah, it took me a long time to think that this was like a worthy thing to write about, I guess, because of like sort of what we're talking about, like, um, oh my God, I'm sorry, there's so many children yelling.
I understand.
I think there is like a sort of highbrow, like messed up idea of like what is worthy of like writing about, and like certain sports have been considered highbrow, which is a problematic term I never want to hear, but like I'm saying, like, like tennis or like something like that, where it's also like entrenched in like racist ideologies and like who plays tennis and like whatnot. But I like sort of internalized things of like this isn't something I should that I can like give the literary treatment to. Like it's like there are some basketball books, but it's often like in a romance novel where there's like basketball players or um like some YA books where they're like coming of age and play basketball, but um I hadn't seen something like mine, so then I fell into the trap of thinking that it wouldn't belong as opposed to I should write into it because I haven't like seen something like it. And um I also think when you're so close to something like this book is um like the events of it aren't don't mirror my adolescence, but like the heart of it is my adolescence. And when something's so close, like I had to age like in order to, write to invent. Like I think for a while I would have tried to write exactly as like what my adolescence was like, or and that would not be worthwhile. Like I needed the space to invent. So I needed to like live a lot longer and then be like, okay, like how can and like write a lot more, like in order to be like, how can I have enough space away from this that I can like actually manipulate this narrative into like what the story needs to be and not just like how I lived it. Um, and I even made that mistake in an early draft. I did write into like something that happened to me and like I was like, this doesn't work. Like I'm like, why does this need to be here? Like I'm writing fiction. So it's really tough. Like writing speculative fiction, I can just make stuff up. But then I was like, okay, this like super realist book coming from like sort of a me growing up in Pennsylvania in the early aughts, like playing basketball, being a D1 recruit, like these things, and being closeted. All of these life circumstances are the same as this narrator. So I was like, how do I differentiate myself? How do I let it have the space to like be its own story without me like imposing upon it, being like, no, this is what needed to happen. Um, so it even took a few drafts for that to like happen and like let them have their own story away from my story.
That's so cool. I love that answer. Like, I mean, so much of for any audience members who aren't writers, which is probably precious few, really, because most of the literary world is just us
Yeah.
listening to each other. Um, like the element of time, like as a writer, there's so much pressure, like to get it out, try to get it published now, like as quickly as possible. Um, and I love the way you said, like you gotta, it takes time. It has to kind of simmer for a while, and the number of drafts. Like I think we've talked before. I have a basketball novel also. Um, and I worked on it for like literally decades in my case, because the whole busy parent thing, like it from its earliest iteration, it took 20 years. And I mean, there's probably 17 discarded drafts along the way in there, until it finally reached like, okay, here's the one that's S traction, and it kept going. So yeah, that time is such a big deal. I'm gonna cheat. I know it's a two-question show. I'm gonna give you a 1B. So that was question 1A. 1B, you mentioned you write speculative fiction also. I Keep My Exoskeletons to Myself. Your first novel has nothing to do with basketball, but is also excellent and does tie in that speculative nature. It's sort of reminiscent of, for somebody who hasn't read it, it'd be kind of like in 1984, like the government is watching you sort of component to it. Uh, so I'm going to kind of throw the same question at you with the speculative one. How
Mm.
much um, was the novel about an oppressive government also you kind of like writing through your lived experience to make sense of the world, so to speak, or just talk back to the world?
Yeah. Again, I guess like that book still has like the heart of a thing I wanted to write into that was very personal, and then it was like sort of easy to invent a world like around it. Um, I'm not a great world builder, at least by nature. Like I start with like an emotion maybe or like something really intense and personal, and then have to work really hard to build a world around it. But like that one just came from I didn't have kids yet. Now I have a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old, but um, my wife and I were starting to like talk about having kids, and I was like scared and all the like freaked out and like all the things that come with, that like big change and also how horrible the world is and all these complicated questions and um feeling like I was not gonna be a good parent, like fears like that. Oh, like my wife is gonna be the one who is like sort of knows what's going on and like I'm gonna be like a terrible parent. So like um I wrote into that really aggressively where the opening scene of the book, the narrator's wife dies during childbirth and the narrator is left to like sort of be an ambivalent parent but raise this baby alone. So like that was like the heart of it. It didn't have a speculative world, but it was like, okay, how can I intensify this entire experience and make parenting 800 times scarier?
Yeah.
Um, but not even than it is now. Obviously, we live in a place that is horrifying to have children and exist. Um, but I had to like build that world around it. Like, all right, how will this be even worse? And I talk about this with speculative fiction a lot. Like it has that distance element where some people are unwilling to look at our reality or like listen or like examine it. Like they're happy to sort of just move about life, but like speculative fiction defamiliarizes the familiar and forces you, it gives you enough distance because you're like, wow, this isn't anything like our world. Like these people have extra shadows, like whatever. Um, and forces you to look closer at the thing because it's defamiliarized. So that's always like interesting to me to just um, force someone to look at something they don't want to look at, but
Yeah.
and they don't even realize maybe that it's happening.
And it makes it so much more effective, right? Because like you said, people want to, I think it's human nature. There's a psychological component. Like it's hard to
Yeah,
confront hardship, right? So people want to just kind of smoothly act as if everything is okay. And
yeah,
that's the benefit of sci-fi and speculative fiction and anything like that, is it kind of forces you to look at things from a new perspective.
yeah.
Awesome. All right. Your official second question is, I already gave you a hint to this one on email. So we both play basketball. You at a much higher level than me, to be very clear. But I'm old and I still love playing. And I recently experienced knee injury after decades later than it happens to most of my friends who are 6'3" like I am. I know I'm lucky. But you also had a knee injury and have gone through the kind of coming to grips with knee injury. So talking about basketball, what life lessons do you have to share with me and anybody else?
Oh my God, life lessons. You
Life lessons. Give me some knee injury life lessons. How do you make sense of a world where your knee can't do what it used to be able to do?
Oh my God, that's a question I've been chasing for years. So I have had four ACL tears.
Holy smokes.
I'm on my fourth one, so I'm just never gonna get it like surgically fixed because why? I'll probably just tear it again. And this is the first one I tore not playing a sport. Like I was like running on the beach with my kid.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that it happened. It wasn't like acute. It just the next day it like blew up so bad and it was really unstable. And I just went to the doctor. I was like, "Can you just do the little Lockman test on me?" Which is like what they do. They shift your knee around to see if your ACL is like good. And they were like, "Whoop." Um, it, man, I don't know that I have life lessons because it's like one of the biggest questions for me is like, um, how to access the joy of playing basketball when I can't really play how I like ever could. Um, and that's been like an ongoing question because before I hurt this, like my knee is just really bad from college because I played my senior year on it torn.
Uh,
So like I just don't have any cartilage, like everything's just sort of messed up in there. Um, and that's like the biggest thing is like I see people playing for life. Like I will see like a man in his 60s with like a knee brace who like can't move very well, but he just like finds other ways to like be the smartest person on the court or like the best shooter or whatever and like still plays every week or something. And like I'm not that person and I'm always like admiring those people. Um, because like the joy of the game is more like is better than like not playing at all because of how you're compromised. And I always think about it as like I feel compromised. So if I can't move how I want to move, then like I'm not even going to play at all, which is like a really like stubborn and not like helpful lifelong thing. So that's like I have my own hang up sort of around this idea. Like my life advice would be like, don't be me. Like be the be the dude who is like, all right, I'm just gonna make changes to my game, or I'm gonna um be able to adapt really, or like just, but I get the sense that you are this way. You play every week, like you're playing for the love of the game, right? Like how mad do you get if you have like a bad game? Like,
Oh, I mean, nobody else would know, but really mad.
yeah, 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 yeah,
It's all internal.
yeah. But then you show up next week and you're like, let's do this thing.
Well, and so here's what I think is interesting about this is I think I'm trying to become the guy you describe, that dude who's like, okay, now somebody, I was just talking to another aging parent athlete on the baseball sidelines last week, and he's like, it's a box, like your box gets smaller. Like you used to be able
Mhm.
to do this, and now you do this. And I'm like, okay, that's smart. I need to start thinking that way. And then every time I get on the court, like I'll try to go for a first step, and I never had a good first step. Be clear, I'm a big slow white boy, but it's even less of a first step than there used to be. I'm like, okay, I can't cut like that
Yeah.
really ever again, and it's still like healing. So I'm
But the
like,
brain wants to do it.
yeah, like,
That's
and
the
your
problem.
body will start to do it, but
Yeah.
it can't actually do it, and then you're a turnover machine. In my case, anyway.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's hard to switch your mentality. Like your brain is telling you to do something that you could do like 10 years ago. And then your body's like, hey, what's going on up there, man?
I don't. I mean, it was an act of great kindness, but at the same time, it kind of hurt. I went for a block. This was actually like a year ago now, but I went for a block and I couldn't get it. And the ref, of all people, says, "You used to get that, didn't you?"
Yeah.
Thank you for recognizing that, but that also like, yeah, that's like, okay, time to go out back now, Grandpa.
Oh my God. Yeah, and it's like, don't call it out like that.
Yeah,
'Cause
yeah.
they used to. They used to.
Thanks, but no thanks.
Yeah, you sort of like, I can tell you didn't jump for no reason. Like you just didn't jump for that because you're cocky. Like I can tell you at one point you jumped for that and you can get it, but
You used to be able to get there.
man.
Yep, yep. I think my new goal. So again, talking to this dad last week, do you remember, like, again, probably 5 or 6 years ago now? I don't know. Time doesn't mean anything anymore. There was a video that went viral of some dude trying to show off in a gym. He was like doing gymnastics on top of like stacked chairs or something. But in the background was some 75-year-old guy who hit like 20 free throws in a row.
Oh
Like
my God.
very slow,
Yeah.
very in rhythm, but clearly in like this is his meditative state, you know. And everybody's like, forget the dude doing the gymnastic balancing stuff.
Yeah.
Like this old dude just hit 20 free throws in a row. Like I think that's my new goal. Like I'm not sure that I'll play competitively much longer. I need to transition to just like I'm going to go drain 100 consecutive free throws.
Oh yeah.
I think that might be the old guy I need to become.
And then the guy that like was not meant to be in the film at all, but and gets like, a little bit of recognition.
Yes. I mean that fits my vibe already, right? Like yeah, background free throw shooter. Absolutely.
Yeah, I feel like what I need to do is go back to my child state, which was like that I would just go shoot around like at night or something when I was like sad or needed to like do a lot of thinking, and it was just like my safe meditative space, like just go shoot around, not care how much I'm like missing, but just like the rhythm of it and like the repetition and the fact that it's like one of the only sports things you can do alone, like shoot around, it's like, okay, soccer, you can like kick a ball against a wall and stuff, but I feel like sh basketball is one of the few sports that is a team sport, that isn't a solo sport, that you can like go do sort of alone. Like, um, and I'm like, I need to maybe reach that space, like go back to when I was a kid and it was like my safe space. And like sometimes if I need to just like go think, like go do that or something.
Mac, I think that's it. I think we'll end there because you actually just did make it a life lesson, right?
There it
We're
is.
talking about writing now too, right?
Yeah.
Like that, you achieve that childlike state of play.
Mm-hmm. Always play. That's always what I tell people in writing. Maybe I should re remember that about sports too, because I take sports more seriously.
We're
Like more
always
more to
we're
heart, like that missed shot or whatever feels so much worse than like, I don't know, one bad review or something. But
yeah,
writing
yes.
always like play, just play in your writing. Like that's it. Like don't take it so seriously where you're just like choking the life out of it. Like just like play.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And I'm also laughing because we're also always better at teaching other people. Like we never
Yeah.
take our own advice.
Oh yeah, yeah. Next play. Just worry about the next play. Yeah.
Uh, but if you're the one who made the turnover, you're like, no, I'm fuming.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm the worst basketball player there is.
Yeah, yeah. Might as well just take me out, coach. Put me, try
Yeah,
again next week. I'm done.
yeah.
Oh, man, I feel that. I feel that too much. All right. Well, hey, Mac, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. This was a real pleasure. Thanks for being here, audience. Thanks for checking out this episode. Go get Mac's books; they're fantastic. Yeah, Mac, any last words for the people?
No, no. Thank you, Mitch. I really appreciate you bringing me on here, and also like we got to actually talk to each other and like meet, after so long of like sort of chatting and circling around each other online. So this has been really nice.
Agreed. Thanks again for doing it. All right, audience, we'll see you next time.